Welcome, everybody. This is Tao of the Day, and it's my favorite time of day. I get to read the Tao. I'm going to eventually have a theme song for this, so I'm just going to make one up every day or something like that. Oh, man, we are Lois. Lois is just on it. How's everybody doing this morning? Lois, how are you, my dear?
Good. I've been up for a while this morning. I don't know. Some woke me up early. I did my hair. I did my hygiene. I did my exercise. So I'm like, hey, where's Martin John? He just went on.
I'm
So
in,
I just
I'm
went on looking for you, and then I said I didn't see you. So I saw Bella talking. I said, oh, good to meet you. Listen to what she talking about. Then I saw Martin John. Hey, that's my
I
no.
gave
I like.
I gave Bella a couple claps this morning on her talk over on Dig Deep. So I stopped in there and then I was like, oh, I got to get on with my day. I gotta start some shit up.
No, that's right. That's why I like you. You're very, 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 very consistent, and your message is consistent because it's not about just recovering from drugs and alcohol. It's about recovering your life, period, from whatever you're running from. You know.
Yeah. I did
So
a I did a talk on Instagram this morning all about like getting a back door to that trauma. Like if you try and walk in the house of your trauma, like they're gonna slam and lock that door. But if you can get in the back door, you can get a lot you can get access. And that's it. Like our using our drugs, alcohol, pacifying, all that kind of stuff, all
mhm.
that stuff, just it's just a symptom, and there's a deeper problem within us that we have to really face, and we have to really be able to admit and look into and explore. So thank
Allow,
you for
and so the people
recognizing
got to
that.
allow themselves to explore getting in that door of that stuff. That's all. Because the thing is, people are afraid to go in that door because because it's scary. One, because it was scary when the first shit happened that made
Yep.
you want to retreat. And the thing is, it's just a phantom now. It's not real anymore. It's just a phantom of something that was past, or it's just a ghost rider of something that was said. It's not nothing that can hold you hostage anymore. It's just a shadow of the past. And then when people would look at it as it's a shadow, it's a phantom, that in a phantom it doesn't exist. It's just like a mist or something. And then
Yeah.
they get that out of their imagination. And thing is that I know it's painful. I've had to go through walk through a lot of my painful memories, and then not only just walking back through the memories, every stage of psychological development, which are like five or six of them in our life, from infancy to seniordom, I'm gonna say it like that. We have to reprocess all the stuff that happened on the higher vibrational level or the higher maturity level where we are. And when we look at it from the higher level, it's not even, I'm sorry, now I know I'm not trivializing anything I went through, the rapes and all that stuff.
No, of course, like people have experienced traumatic stuff, but you're here now. You're safe.
Yes.
Like, can you feel safe? And this is the difference. This is the difference that I talk about of going through the front door and the back door. Going through the
Mhm.
front door is like you need to understand it and relive it, but you don't. All you
No,
have
you
to do
don't.
is get in through the back door so you can observe
Observe it.
what
There it is.
happened, not
Uh,
relive it. I ain't want you to
Observe it
relive
from
nothing.
your now age, your now maturity level,
Right,
not as a
absolutely.
child. Because if what's happening is everybody's looking back at the past as they're still a child. They're
That's
still
right.
that
That's
kid.
right.
They're still that thing because that memory is trapped as a kid. But if you look at that memory as an adult, it loses all its power because you're an adult, and then it's just a shadow.
That's right.
So but then, like I said, but then it's like rain too. It comes and it goes. You're gonna have waves. I go through, like
Yeah.
I said, I'm going through these waves with my daughter's death. One minute I got it, I'm good. Was not dealt with, that all of a sudden just smashed up. And then
Yeah.
that didn't mean I'm supposed to run from it. That means I just take a step back and then look at this. And how do I look at this?
Right.
And like I
Where
said, and
from
I
where are you looking?
yeah, I was looking at one. I wasn't looking. That's one. because I thought I was done with at least the most
That's
part,
right.
but
You
I
got a little
hadn't planned
cocky.
for
It's
that.
all
I
right.
hadn't planned for that trigger. Now I know that holidays, even the holidays, minor holidays, may be triggers for me. I will prepare myself, okay? Because
Yeah.
I'm seeing I prepare for major holidays with her death. I did not prepare for minor holidays,
And then
and
I
then
went
this
ahead
minor.
and got you all triggered because I'm all like
You
happy
didn't
Valentine's.
know. You didn't
I
know, and
didn't
I
know. Of
didn't
course
know.
not.
I needed it.
I'm not taking credit, girl. I'm just like I'm really
I
glad that.
needed it, Martin. I
Yeah,
needed
I'm
it.
really glad that I could be a part of that.
I needed the trigger because I needed to see that there were still parts that I hadn't processed.
Right.
Okay, I needed to see that. Just like you put a mirror in front of my face, but it wasn't a mirror that says, "Oh my God, you're going off on me about something."
That's
It's a
right.
mirror going my face saying, "Hey, you still got some grief to deal with. Just deal with it."
You got to look at it. And that's something that
Yes.
I really love. I love the fact, like I tell people all the time, thanks for the trigger. Like, and people tell me, I didn't want to trigger you. And it's like, shut up. Yeah, you did. Like you didn't want to, but I'm really glad that you did because
But they
I
didn't.
get
The
to
thing
look at
is,
it.
they don't want to because the thing is, our magnet drew them to us to show us the trigger
That's
because we're
right.
saying, "Let us grow, let us grow. I want to grow, I want to grow." So we're gonna have some triggers. Now,
That's right.
I didn't expect to be triggered down that hard, and I was like, oh, I feel like I got hit in the gut. And I was like, okay, why I feel like this? And I got off of everything. Why do I
Yeah.
feel like this? What is this coming from? Why? What is wrong with then when I went to go, what is wrong with me? I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with me.
Damn
And
right.
I had to go back out because that self talk could have took a drastic turn and took me down where I would have had hard time getting back up unless somebody made an interjection. But
That's
when
right.
I heard myself, what is wrong with me? Ain't nothing wrong with me. My daughter, damn it, died. I'm gonna lay that track, man. No, because this is the hardest. I've lost mama, daddy, brother, fiance, uh, uh, childhood sweetheart. I done cousins. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like so many people helped cross over till this one. This one was the worst. This one
Yeah.
was the worst as far as me, as far as pain and emotionalism. This was the worst for me.
Yeah.
Probably because I felt like she ain't do no bad to nobody. She ain't hurt nobody. She was like a clean living girl. It's like traveling. I mean, there was no aunt. She had no idiosyncrasies that you could say, "Oh my God, I can't stand her." Cause no, she was so loving and so giving. I felt like it was unfair, and when
Yeah.
it hit me, it floored me, and like I said, but that's why I soared to heights after that. And I'm not saying that I wasn't like this before, but I know that my growth has been. I've grown faster. I've gone farther faster in my growth than I was before. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
It's and that's the part that I still have an issue with because I was just praying this morning in the mirror and I was like, I was thanking her, for being who she was because it still bothered me. Thanking her and then she said, "Mama, I left so you can grow." I appreciate that, but I would rather you had been here. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Not,
I
not
appreciate
about you, baby.
okay, that's where I'm at. Okay, and then I know, and then I had to say, but I understand, I get it, and I'm grateful. You
Yeah.
know, but at first, I couldn't have had that talk with myself. You told me I'd have had that talk with myself right now. I'd have said, "Man, you stupid." No,
That's right. If you don't know me,
that's right. That's right. What
what
are
you
you
go on?
talking about? But yeah, so yeah, I'm processing, and it's still processing. This was
Of
just a
course.
wave, and the waves are gonna come and go. I'm glad this wasn't a tsunami. Okay, it was a
That's
tsunami when
right.
she
You
died. This
you
is just a
got
little wave.
you got your shit together enough. You had to face it, and that's good work, baby.
Yeah. So let me see. I didn't have a number in mind. I just wanted to talk to you.
Well, why don't you give me a number and I'll just read it through and we'll see what you got.
Okay. You know what? Let's go with two. I've never
Number
been down
two.
in low end.
All right. When people see things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see things as good, other things become bad. Being and non being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend upon each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore, the master, acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she just lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why she lasts forever.
That's good. That's good. My thing is, this is what I'm hearing and loud and clear, like it's just gong making my gong go, is that things just are. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When we start labeling them, then we're gonna get the opposite end of that label. But if we just accept things, this is just is. My daughter just passed away. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. And if I look at it, this is just a part of life, and it was her time, and I know it was because all the signs pointed to it. I just didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to read them. Okay, I
That's
don't like
right.
reading signs all
That's
the
right.
damn time, and I'm like, I know where I'm going, I know, and you don't read, but I saw the signs, and she saw the signs, and she had a dream, and then it was like no. So when I realized things just are, I don't have to qualify them with an adjective, because
That's good.
anytime I qualify something with an adjective, I gotta realize that, oh my God, this is this or this is that, and then I gotta take on the feeling of that adjective. But if I say things just are, ain't no feeling attached to that.
Wow, that's beautiful how you said that. Like once you put an adjective toward it, you then expect yourself to respond to it
It's gonna
as
be
that
emotion.
adjective. That's
That's right.
beautiful. That's
That's
such a
right.
nice that's that just like that insight is so beautiful, right? Like if you don't say, oh, this is good, because even with me, when I experience things with other people and they're like, wasn't this good, and I have to tell them it wasn't, the fact that they said it's good, I'm like, that doesn't add up to me, and now it's hard for me to express
Right.
because of that adjective, right? And it's because someone serves you food or whatever and they give you an adjective, it's like, well, my adjective might not match, and
Okay.
now
And
I
somebody
don't
might get
feel like I
offended.
fit in.
Yeah. And you feel that you're like, oh, would you like that crap? I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
And then because you want to be nice, you're not gonna say, oh, that was nasty. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Right. That's right.
You'll sit
It's
there
so
and
it's
you'll be
like
quiet and say, if I can't say something nice, I won't say nothing at all.
that's right.
But my thing
Adjectives,
is, if
man.
I don't put a qualifier on it at all, to make me feel in one way or the other, I don't have to worry about that emotion. Things just are. This shit just happened, okay? I
Right.
just was in the mirror combing my hair. That's just a fact. That is a fact. Did I do it nicely? Did I do it ugly? Did I do it pretty? Did I make it attractive? Did I? All those are qualifiers. And if I get on a qualifier, then I'm gonna get a feeling. So my thing is, I don't need to feel what I don't need to feel. All I want to feel is love. So I'm not gonna qualify shit no more. I learned that long time ago. Oh, that was a bad accident. Oh my God, that was it. Because I learned that somebody may have an accident. They may think it's the best thing in the world because they finna get a big payoff. Okay, and
Yeah,
they want a
yeah.
new car. And
I
I
know
may
I've been
see it
thinking
as,
that
oh my
sometimes.
God, no more car, no more stuff. So I don't qualify things anymore. I just accept it as it is, and that's easy in some cases. In some cases, it's not. Like not when you're being triggered. Not when I got triggered with my daughter the other day. That was I couldn't say that just is because it was
Not at
it
that
was an
moment.
emotional trigger.
Right.
So I don't put if I don't put emotion triggers on or put use the words with emotional triggers on them, I don't have to worry about that emotional trigger triggering nothing. Because
That's
things
right.
just are.
Right. And the thing is like what happened when you got triggered for Valentine's Day is like you were triggered back to a time when you had an adjective for what that was.
Yes.
And so you had to return to the
And I had to
adjective.
return to that adjective. Thank you.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. You see, we here, Martin. We here. That's why I got to talk to you when you come back from your pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Okay, I know I'm serious because I know it's going to be powerful. Because I know mine is going to be powerful. I know
Yeah.
I just got to do it because I've never really taken vacation.
Yeah,
I've
no,
always had.
some of us, I was like, my parents were teenagers when I was a kid, and I was the second born, and
Mhm.
like they never took vacation. Vacations. Sometimes we look at vacations are for the privilege,
Yes,
but
exactly.
really, vacation is where you go in your mind, and
Mm.
vacation is how you live.
as long as you vacating that negative shit.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And to me, if that's the case, I always took vacations because I tell my kid, you need a mental health day. You don't want to go to school. You ain't got a ditch. Just tell me, and we can stay home. Just make up your work the next day.
That's right.
And that's how I was. If I needed a mental health day from work, I didn't have to be physically ill. I just call and say, hey, I'm not gonna make it in today. I
That's
ain't gotta
right. You ain't
lie.
need an
I ain't gotta say
excuse. Just say you ain't coming in. Lloyd, thank you so much for joining me. If you wanted to come on and land that plane, of course I'd let you back up. I don't know if you need to, but that's beautiful. Oh, yep. Let's get you to land that thing. So yeah, if anybody else wants to come up, Lois is coming up right now to land that.
yeah. So thank you for letting me land the plane. So the thing is that we put qualifiers on words and all that kind of stuff on things that happen. We got to when we relive it, we got to go back to that qualifying word because I thought my daughter's death was the worst thing that ever happened to me. So when that got triggered the other day, I felt like the worst thing ever happened to me, and I was floored. So from
Hmm.
that, I've been telling people all along, shit just happens. Don't label it. Don't label it as
Right.
good or bad or indifferent. And that doggone this number two that you just read says exactly the same thing because when you label it one way, it got to have another on the other end. It's a two-edged sword. Both of them have points. Okay,
That's right.
both of them are sharp. Okay, now one can sharpen you and cut you up to pieces, and one can cut a steak. Okay, but
That's
the
right.
whole thing is they both are sharp, and I'd rather not put any qualifiers on any end. It's a sword. It's a
Hmm.
sword. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all. It's a sword. How you want to qualify, that's up to you. But I tend to not use qualifiers because, like you said, because I qualified that event as the worst thing that happened when it got triggered. Damn, I felt the worst. So I don't want to put emotional words on things that happen anymore because I don't want to be thrown back into the emotion, positive or negative, because it brings back the other side of it. So I'm learned.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep it like that. But I thank you for reading that
Absolutely.
one, and I
Yeah.
didn't know that was gonna be that one. But
That's
yeah,
right. That's right. Well, we
stay
we we
neutral.
got to it.
I love you. Bye.
Love you. We're bringing Energy Lady on. I just want to go back to this one line in this number two from Lois. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it, and that's why it lasts forever. Energy Lady, how are you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm taking a walk. I must have hit dead zone.
That's all right. There's no
Hey,
bad zones.
I said dead zone. I didn't say bad
Dead
zone.
zone. Oh, blah blah.
Dead
Yeah, no.
zone.
How are you doing? How's your
Fine.
week?
I haven't seen you. I haven't talked to you. You keep going on and like 4 o'clock in the morning
Fucking
for me. I'm
yeah.
like,
I'm a
hell
I'm
no.
a I'm a I'm an early riser. I decided to hold out a little bit today. Um, I don't have my power cord, so I am back to the Stephen Mitchell version. We're here doing our thing. You got a number for me?
Yes, 43.
43.
I don't even know how long you've been on. I just looked on and went, oh, he's on again.
Oh, here I am. Here I am. Lois was my first, so I'm fresh. You're my second, and that's a good. It's good because I can stay. Like after 4 or 5, I start to wane a little bit.
I wonder why. Jeez.
So okay, 43. The gentlest thing in the world overcomes the hardest thing in the world. That which has no substance enters where there is no space. This shows the value of non-action. Teaching without words, performing without actions. That is the master's way. Hmm.
Hmm, I'm not sure what that means.
Like I really like this is a short one, but I do but the depth that it talks about, like the gentlest thing in the world overcomes the hardest thing. And it's interesting in the world today as we look at like what do we label as gentle, what do we label as hard, and how and I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Uh, that was interesting. The only thing that just really just popped into my head, so it's not the only thing. um, is being gentle on myself
Mm.
because I don't like saying breaking through. How do I say it? I don't even know how to say it. That's kind of
Mm.
why I got up here today. I'm not sure how to say it because things are falling into place for me that I'm actually being able to see it because I have the people around me that are with me instead of doing it, kind of thing, or trying to give me answers. They're just with me with it.
Yeah.
Old patterns are showing up and it's hard and they're sabotaging patterns. It's like, oh no,
Yeah.
you can't go here. Let me take you down. That's the gentle part that I'm not sure. I haven't learned how to be gentle with that part of me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that fits in.
Yeah, it's interesting, like when we talk about like this gentlest and hardest, like I like to look at, like if I were to imagine this, I always look at when this comes up, I see this image of like two people doing, the karate or like or martial arts,
Hmm.
and the idea that like, what, I am going to, you have a lot of force and I am going to gently kind of move out of the way and use your force against you, and I'm going to make it so that um that sort of movement, and that could be movement in a conversation as well, right? Like
Right.
when someone is holding hard or holding fast to their ideas, and you can gently just kind of be present and not force your ideas upon them, it seems sometimes to be so intriguing. And you can do that when you're gentle and you're not forcing your ideas upon others. Those ideas kind of like break through the wall of resistance that other people put up. If you're
Well,
like,
that's
oh,
well, that's it. Well, that's the reason I was actually talking to Julie about this. That's the reason I'm doing the playground
right,
because what I have in front of me could be taken really psychological and, deep thinking and really getting into the grunges. Or we can say, you know, just like you guys are talking about, no adjectives. We're standing on a playground, and what are you standing? Are you standing in a dirty sandbox? What do and doing that, and it takes away the psychological teaching that everybody thinks is going to happen, so they don't run away from themselves, including me, of course. I mean,
yeah,
my playground is 100% me. The thing that I'm experiencing is, and I know this pattern of doing this and knowing it's right there. It's right there. I just got a couple things to do, and it's going. Seriously, I had such a great conversation with somebody yesterday, and she finally saw it. Wow, you are missing something. Great, can we talk now?
yeah,
Um, because everybody kept telling me I'm overanalyzing, I'm this, and I knew I wasn't because I know me. And if there's something there, I'm going. If something's not there, I can't move, which is most people don't get that black and white. Well, as soon as I got it, a couple hours later, I started sabotaging and causing myself to basically not be allowed to have it because, of course, I'm going to ruin it. And I know what I'm talking about when I say that.
yeah,
And that's that's the being gentle. I haven't learned how to do it, and it's not that I need it today. It's as I call it, the spin that cycles it, and just my brain is like, okay, you're not worth it. You did this. You screwed up. You're a bad person. All of that. And I know it's
right,
not true.
right.
Being
And
on
those are
my own.
hard things. Those are hard
Yeah.
things. Like those are those
Right.
those are hard rules that you've held for a long, long time,
They
from
were
your
given to
childhood
me.
maybe. What's that?
Right. They were given to me. Those rules were given to me as that is who I am, and I'm just a mess up. I'm this. I'm a whiner. I'm what I mean. It's like you can't do anything right, and I always knew that that wasn't true. So my thought process is, why don't I just mess it up?
Right.
I mean, self-sabotage is the best way to go, right?
Well, I
I'm kidding. I'm totally
I
kidding.
know, of course. I don't know how
But
to like I'm not one for sarcasm.
Well, it's the only way to go for me not to beat myself up,
Well,
honestly.
right,
That's
and I think that that's yeah. I always kind of like, and that's why I try and just stay quiet during that. But I'm like, I know that those are rhetorical questions, but sometimes when sarcasm comes up, like the pause is just so long, and I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like,
right. No, and I understand that, but see, if I do it, then I'll psychoanalyze it. But it's
right.
the whole concept of oxymoron. It's
Hmm.
really we're really going to do this. It's like I look at little kids and I look at them and I go, "How'd that work out for you?" They're like, "I don't
Right.
like it." Well, then can we change it? Sure. But see,
Right.
that's me having a connection with another person to allow the space to be good.
Right.
It's me. So I don't know if I can do two personalities in one. Now that would be creepy.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
like here, just in terms of this, right? The gentlest thing in the
yes.
world overcomes the hardest thing in the world, and the
What does
hardest
that
thing,
mean? What does
like
that
for
mean?
me, like what I'm looking at, like what is the, like let's say the gentlest thing in your life can overcome the hardest thing in your life. The hardest thing in your life, the hardest thing is like that thought that you don't have value, or that thought that is that you'll screw it up. That is a hard thing. That's a hard thing. Not only is it a hard rule, meaning like this is, if we accept this as a truth, it doesn't have room to be soft,
Right.
right?
That's a good
And
way to
then the
put it.
gentlest thing in your world, like the thing that you've mentioned so often, like
Mhm.
you'll talk about playground, 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 but
Mhm.
like sandbox, like
Mhm.
this is an image that is so soft and
Mhm.
is so pliable. And it's like it doesn't have hard rules. It doesn't have hard edges. And that's the thing that can overcome those hard things, right? Like, and it's about staying, this is saying that which has no substance enters where there is no space. Like when you have that rule that I am not good enough, like you cannot, because the rule is so hard, you have to fill it, you have to compact it so full of like substance, so full of that rule has to have no that rule has to not allow space, because if it allows space, well then it can crack.
So in other words, in my mind, by the way, I'm walking right towards the full moon. Is that awesome?
Yeah,
Um,
she's beautiful.
come to
Oh
me.
man, she is such a gorgeous like
I know, I
lady.
love it. You
God.
should see what I see on my deck. But what I'm hearing you say that you don't know, you don't know me not well enough to know, is this situation I'm taking over as a human, thinking I have control, so I have to fix it, instead of allowing the process to be perfect and just scooping it out of my sandbox.
Yeah, and that next line is, this shows the value of non-action.
Which means what in this
um of
idea-wise?
like yeah, that concept of like you're trying to control, you're trying to fill it, like all of that, like all of that doing is is really just trying to continue compacting all of that old rule, all of that old processing, all of that old beliefs, maybe, I
So,
don't know.
yeah, so no, so instead of knowing that it was perfect for me to see what I saw and just going forward saying, okay, there's no way there's a mistake.
Right,
Um,
like you're here.
that right. So there's the imperfection is perfect to allow me to whatever to be,
Yeah,
because
and even
this
like, and
part of me, but this part of me has to come up.
yeah, because what like something that you said earlier was just like all of this was given to you. And I always like to remember that, like, it isn't what we were taught that matters, but what we learned. And so once we recognize that, yes, we learned this, yes, okay, it
Hmm.
was it was given to you, sure, but you adopted it as truth. And then
What's the
when
difference between wait? What's the difference between learned and taught?
oh well, when you learn something, you have power to realize that maybe you were wrong.
I know, but if I've
When you were
taught it, then
taught something.
I can realize that I learned it, but I was originally taught it, correct?
No, you were not taught it. No one wrote up a curriculum to teach that to you. You inadvertently learned that. Nobody sat you down in a class and actually like planned to teach that to you. Right? That's just something that happened to be learned through your experience.
That takes away the blame, shame, and guilt.
Right.
So it's not
Now
your fault.
you have
You
control
didn't
for
do it
what
to
you
me,
learn.
Martin.
What's that?
I said you didn't do it to me.
Right. And that's the thing. You like when you say it was given to you, you are inadvertently being the victim of what you've received. But when you say no, 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 I learned this, and nobody wrote up a curriculum to actually have me learn this, even if you think that maybe they did, like they didn't. No
No,
one wrote this up.
actually, that was I didn't even realize I had that. That was a psychoanalysis teaching that
Yeah,
people say
yeah.
you learn these I mean, you were taught these, yeah,
Right.
and that.
You weren't taught shit because I was taught chemistry and I never learned it, and so it doesn't matter. So no matter what you were taught, the action of learning is what matters.
And that's where choice comes in
Right. And now you have the
when it's
choice to learn
recognized.
differently. Right. Once you recognize it. Right. And
So what
that's
I'm
where
going to
this.
ask myself, wait, but what I'm going to ask myself is if I learned that I hid something about me, and that's the part that wants to come out, and that learned part had to come up to show me that.
Right. Right. Exactly. It has to. It can't
I know,
not.
but I didn't have that logic in my head, so the self-sabotage abuse in my head was going because I can't be a perfect person and do everything perfect. I can't. And I wasn't able to talk anybody out of that today. So
Right.
that's why I'm up here talking to you.
And then we finish this up with teaching without words, performing without actions. That is the master's way.
Right, and that's the inner work.
Yep. Absolutely.
Uh, that makes total sense. See, I just something told me get up there and do it right
Get
now.
up there. Talk to this
Get up
motherfucker.
there.
He's got
Yeah.
something.
Thank you. Missed you last couple days. Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate
I'm
it.
glad
You
I'm
know I
glad I'm here at a
appreciate you.
regular time. I appreciate you too.
Yeah,
Thanks
it
for
doesn't
coming on.
matter. You do what you do, you boo.
Always. I got nothing else.
Right. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Oh, we're bringing Bella up. I can step away from the Dow because she doesn't look for numbers. She just wants to tell me something, and I want to hear it.
Hi, Martin John. How are you?
Hello, my dear. How are you?
A little tired. I gave a talk yesterday at the school on spiritual awakening. So
Oh, is that here on Wisdom?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
well, I gotta check it out. I didn't. I was traveling yesterday, all sorts of stuff. So
Ah, okay. Um, I don't often do that, but I'm hoping to interview this amazing woman on Saturday.
oh,
As a series on spiritual awakening, because I learned so much. But let's just put that to the side.
we shall.
This is I loved listening to the Energy Lady. She was so insightful and reflective
Yeah.
about what you were saying. And, I was just looking at her picture and those beautiful eyes, just
they
and like,
are expressive. That's for sure.
yeah, and I love the fact that when she was reflecting, she got insight. Her pitch came down
Hmm.
and she wasn't as excited. It was like, I get it. And it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Really, really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. But as usual, as you said, I listen to what everybody's saying, then I come up with something. While you were talking to Lois and Energy Lady, um, my father believed in Stoicism.
Yep.
And,
Me too.
oh, great. Then you're going to love what I'm going to the quote I'm going to give from Marcus Aurelius. It says, as to living in the best way, this power is the soul, if it be indifferent to things which are indifferent, which is just being still, right?
Hmm.
Not doing anything,
Yeah.
just be still. And the soul, which I like to say, is my perspective, is that divine love within us,
Hmm.
which permeates everything and nothing. You know what I mean? It just is. So that's what I wanted to add. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it's interesting, like when you say like everything and nothing, it's like, there's no paradox there, just because like when it's everything, there is nothing.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Because it's our perspective.
Right. It's our perspective of the 10,000 things as expressed in the Tao, right? Like naming is the source of 10,000 things, right? Like so as soon as we start to identify, like Lois was saying,
Mm-hmm.
do not identify. Do not use that fucking adjective.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need the adjective. You don't need to tell me if it's good or if it's bad. It is. And
Exactly.
and as we can embrace that, and as we can understand that, then we can step into the whole. And the whole means you know the kind of this is where you lose everything, right? You lose,
Exactly.
but you lose it not in a way of like you no longer possess it, but you're recognizing that my naming it at all was attempting to possess it.
Exactly. Exactly. And if we're playing with adjectives, etc., a noun is something, and that something is what cultural perceptions name it as. So we name it, and that is limited with our experiences. And if we then change that noun into a verb, into action, then what we're doing is we're accepting the naming and then we're using it to propel the thing forward. So if you don't name it, it doesn't matter. I mean, when I was talking yesterday, or was it in the spiritual awakening room, that um, for instance, we all know the rainbow, and we all say, yeah, the rainbow's got 7 colors.
Whoa, I
The
wouldn't say
rainbow,
that, but go on.
yeah, exactly. The rainbow does not have 7 colors
That's right.
because Newton was very interested in alchemy, and number 7 was complete.
Hmm.
So he had to put indigo and blue to
Yeah.
make it 7 colors. But the rainbow is just is. It
Yeah.
just is. We just see it. We experience its beauty. And another example is in the English language, there was no color orange. There was no word orange in the English language until oranges were brought to England. Then they
Hmm.
named it orange. So what did they call it before? It just was.
Oh.
And
Wow, I didn't know that. I like orange. Orange is one of my faves.
well, there was no term orange until oranges were brought to England,
Hmm.
and they named the color orange. And interestingly, I think it's an Australian Aborigines. I'm not quite sure, but although the sky is blue, they never had the color blue in their language.
Yeah.
So once we name it, we put energy into it, and then it becomes uh, a standard bearer for actions we may take. But without naming it, it just is.
Yeah. It's always so interesting about how we perceive things.
Hmm.
Because as soon as we name something, as soon as we can talk about something,
Hmm.
like as soon as we have the word orange, as soon as we
Hmm.
have the concept of blue, as soon as we have all of these things, and we can talk about them, and it's interesting how smart we are as human beings, and we go back and we say, well, when's the first time that they referenced this in
Hmm.
writing? and
Hmm.
and we really, it's interesting also that we think here in the 21st century and whatever, we're running around and we understand our evolution and we understand the sky. You know, like when we look up
mhm,
at the sky, we think it's never changed.
mhm,
We think, oh, the sun was always our sun, the moon was always our
mhm,
moon, and the planets were always where they are. And the fact that we haven't had any major celestial problems in
mhm,
our recorded history has never, like, it doesn't cross people's minds that, like, yeah, that could change any moment. Right?
mhm,
Like it's
mhm,
so interesting how, because we have written things down for, like, I don't like it's 3,000 years we've been writing, like, and we think because things haven't changed in 3,000 years, we understand how things work.
mhm. But I'm not quite sure whether things haven't changed in 3,000 years, because the broader our experiences, the more we interpret things. And I use this. The, um, um, I was having an anthropology lecture with Professor Mintz, who's a cultural anthropologist, and Madame of thinking she's got all these wide experiences. We were looking at the Inuit Indians, and they just kept clicking away. So
Hmm.
I just said, why do they have such a primitive language? My frame of reference.
Yes, of
And
course.
he said, yes, the language is very primitive. They just have 400 different terms for snow.
Right.
And because we think we know, because we're using something we know as a standard. And when we look at cultures where spirituality is more important, where things cannot be understood and are given to a greater power, then the means of communication is much more holistic. Adjectives are not used a lot, but
Right.
how it references each other and what they think they know. But they recognize the spiritual in everything,
Yes.
which the
Yeah.
West doesn't. The West
Right. And
names, names, adjectives, names, adjectives, verbs, names, adjectives, verbs.
yeah, it's I was talking, at some point, and I keep bringing this up because it just keeps coming up. This masculine, feminine, right? The masculine of naming rather than the feminine of being, and
Mhm,
so it's like, we have to kind of we have to, like, we we have been kind of coerced through our development, which we need this. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. We needed to embrace logic. We needed to embrace naming. We need, so that we can move to the next space of spiritual awakening and consciousness. Uh, so of course these things aren't bad. They just are, because as soon as we say they're bad, we are going and using we're using the problem to identify
mhm,
the action, and that's not what we're trying to do. And Lois and I were talking about that, energy lady and I addressed that.
mhm,
i
mhm.
i do i do think this is very much on point.
Mhm. It's the frames of reference. I mean, one is constantly learning. I remember when I went back to my father's home. Um, People would just look at me without. Yeah, let me give you an example. I went into a supermarket, and then this woman came rushing to me, and then she hugged me, and I was, of course, I was like, we don't do things like that. And then she called me by my nickname. Now I
Mm,
didn't recognize who she was, but she recognized me. So she hadn't seen me since I was a baby, yet at that time I was 26, 27. She recognized me.
yes.
So what was it that made her recognize me? Was it our essence? That which I can't describe, but she recognized me. And when we went to his place, people would just recognize you. I can't explain it, but they do. And I think that's the spiritual component in that. It's what we choose to develop more, because we don't know the answers. That's why there's a spiritual component to who we are. We don't know the answers. We think we know from the experiences, but we really don't know. So things are, they just are.
Right.
Even what I'm talking is just you know what I
That's
mean?
right.
You know, I don't know. I don't know. And the more we don't know, the better our lives are. The more we try to frame things, the more difficult it becomes, because our point of reference may be different from another person's point of reference. Therefore, we limit our learning, and then because we limit our learning, we limit our communication, and because we limit our communication, we perhaps we limit our growth. Anyway,
Perhaps.
yes,
And
I use that because I
yeah,
didn't want to frame it. You know, perhaps.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and always gifting us with your thoughts, because you are so full of wisdom
Oh,
and
you're naming adjective.
that's right. You're so full of it.
That's it. Where I come from, when they say you're full of it, it's not. It's not.
Yes, no, me
Adjective.
too.
It's
So I'm just
yeah. It's like
just
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you're
But
full of it. And but
yeah, it's just
that it is so full.
no. It's because as I've said, when I come on stage, I have my eyes closed
Yeah,
and I talk,
yeah.
because I then think I talk from my heart. And when I talk from my heart, it's easier for me to receive from another person's heart. Can you see? Because there's no distractions of, I wonder what this person might say, because I then learn from others and increase my frame of reference. So Martin John, all the best, and I love you lots.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye.
It is mutual, my dear. Bye bye. Bringing on Catherine, my buddy, my birthday buddy. So if you guys don't know, our birthdays are the same day, and that's
Okay,
special.
I'm talking to Bella, not you, for a moment. Please pause. Bella, I just wanted you to have a good laugh because I also closed my eyes. So at the moment you said that, I thought, I can't. Here's Bella and I. We're having lunch together. And we're both closing our eyes as we're talking to one another. So I close my eyes when I talk here in wisdom many of the time. All right, I'm ready with number 8. Let's go.
I love that I'm just a vehicle for this. I feel very used.
Well, that's what friendship is for.
Yeah. The supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It is content with the low places that people disdain, thus it is like the Tao. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. When you are content to be simply yourself, and don't compare or compete, everyone will respect you. So I want to point out that we're back to Stephen Mitchell only because I don't have my power cord and I traveled to Virginia without it, and so I am limited in my scope today. So we're
Oh,
back to the Stephen Mitchell. We will return to Derek Lynn, but I don't have the bandwidth to do too much at this moment. So
fine. I guess we'll just do the Stephen Mitchell one
we'll
then. All
just do
right, let's
Stephen Mitchell.
just go through
Yeah,
it.
go
Whew.
through. So, initial thoughts on that? Anything?
I love it.
So one of my biggest things is in the Stephen Mitchell translation, at least, is this low places. Like
Oh, doesn't
low
it
places,
make you think of
I
that Garth Brooks song?
that's
I
what
have
I'm always just
friends
I
in
don't understand what this I have friends in low
two
places.
places. We approach the Tao so different than everyone
Yeah.
else. Darth Vader was the
Is
last
it where the beer flows and the whiskey chases
one. Yeah.
your blues
News away.
away?
This is a Garth Brooks
Everything's
song. It's not
okay.
a Dow of the Day.
But it's the like because he references Stephen Mitchell and maybe the Dow because I haven't read every translation. This concept of low places and I think when I think of low places, I think of okay, the ocean is a low place because all rivers go to it, and valleys are low places, and that's where like things gather, like the morning fog or the
Where the
morning.
work is done, often unnoticed.
I I I don't know what you're saying. Would you please expound on that?
Well, you think about it. All the sediment and everything flows from the rivers into the ocean where all of the fish are born. All these things are happening that feed us, that care for the earth. You think of the
Mm.
valleys, all the rivers come down, and that's where, the people gather, and that's where a lot of farming takes place. But, we don't really think about that much of all the work that goes into of what nature's naturally doing and what the people are doing that work those parts of the world and those parts of nature. And that's what, like, I think that's where Garth Brooks talks about the low places, those places that are often unnoticed but have so much value.
Man, so
I'm
here's
so
an
good at
interesting.
this. Oh my god.
This is you're so good. So this is an interesting thing because like I start looking at like minerals, right? They come from
Hmm.
mountains, right? Like they come from all of these places where and all of those minerals and all of those vitamins and all of the things that are in the ocean, all the things that need to feed the ocean, need to feed us, it like flows and slowly just like the mineral rich waters as it flows down into and deposits those minerals in all along the riverbank
In the
and
low places.
in the low place. So this is what a beautiful way of looking at that. And so here it says the supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. So, okay, so we went to the water and it nourishes things without trying to because it starts high, in the snow and all that in the mountaintops. And then it goes through everything, working its way from the highest point to the lowest point.
I
So it
like
doesn't
it.
have to try at all.
No. And it's unnoticed too. Like, we don't sit there and go, wow, if it didn't snow, it wouldn't have gone to the river, so then I couldn't be eating my salmon today.
That's right.
And then we don't think about, oh, because I can have the salmon, all these amazing people who work the fisheries and, all of these things that care for the earth and are, you know, taking care of what's happening in these areas that make no sense to me or I don't pay attention. I just know that I have beautiful salmon on my plate and it's delicious.
Right.
I don't think about the
Yeah.
process in between. I just eat my salmon. Let's just be real.
Right. And the Tao, being like this, being the supreme good, is content with the low places that people disdain.
Mm-hmm.
In
Because
those low positions, because nobody like those are entry level positions, right? Those are positions people just like they go there and like I've known people who have worked in the fishing industry in Alaska, you know,
and that
like
is freedom. Like they love it. Like
they do,
it's freedom.
yeah.
And I mean, I think we're really we're also tapping into my buddy Mike Rowe, who it is from Dirty Jobs.
Don't know micro.
Oh, you should check him out.
Okay.
He talks a lot about like how there are this whole world of people who take care of our day-to-day lives that we don't really even notice, that do all these amazing things, and some of them, that's their freedom. They have their own little business doing things, like the things that we don't realize that are being done, that if weren't being done, if the snow didn't flow down, if the people didn't catch the fish, that would like in the system.
Yeah, the system would halt. Yeah.
Hmm. Like the
Thus, it
truck
is like the Tao.
drivers. like the
Yes,
truck
the
driver.
truck drivers. Hey, shout out to Canada,
Yeah,
or
shout
maybe
out
maybe
to
not.
my peeps in Canada.
Yeah,
Oh,
we are in support. We are in
Canada.
support of the truck drivers. I don't
That's
know
right.
all that they want, but I definitely want to see them get what they want.
That's
They
right.
are what an organization, right? Like good on them. Like what the
I
hell?
mean, they do logistics 24 hours a day in their mind. It wasn't that hard for them to organize this.
That's
Plus,
right.
as the government is too stupid to realize, they're like, we'll turn off their cell phones. They use CBs, you losers. But y'all are
Yes,
so
shout
busy on
out to
your
the
newest
citizen band.
iPhone. That's right. Go
Shout
down in
out
the
to
low
all the things
places,
that
you'll
make
see
things
how the
work.
world functions, right?
Yeah. It's like the government hasn't been a part of the citizen band since the 70s. They were
That's
like,
right.
oh,
Too busy on GPS and satellite phones,
that's
right?
right. They're just like, wait, you mean you mean things move through the air, like
Right,
not
that's
just to
right.
space? That's right. We don't. You do,
That's right. There's a whole
this
way
is
to do
this is
things.
called what is it? It's like yes, it is. It's great when things work like just like lo-fi fucking lo-fi over hi-fi. I'm telling you.
Well, the low places again.
The low places once again.
Look
Yes,
at
the low
us.
places of the symphonic of the frequencies even.
As though we had planned this conversation, which we did not. Just want to say.
The Dow did. The Dow planned it all out
Doubted.
for us.
That's
Okay,
right.
so we move on to say this kind of sextet of the dwelling live close to the ground, in thinking keep to the simple, in conflict be fair and generous. And that's the thing. Here we go in conflict. I mean, speaking of Canada, in conflict be fair and generous, right? Like
Hmm.
I don't know all of the ask of the truckers and
It's remove
the
all the mandates,
yeah,
period.
this seems pretty fair,
Hmm.
especially because of their role
Right.
and the and what they do for society in terms of like having quarantine and how that would affect and all of this sort of stuff. Like I think that's a fair ask and generous. I think they're giving generous opportunity to have conversations and yet Trudeau and others are avoiding those conversations.
Well, I mean, he cries a lot, so I mean,
No, well, like
kids,
I
kids
support
today,
crying. I
kids today,
support crying.
kids
I'm a
today.
crier. I'm a crier. It should be said.
Yeah, but
but I still step up to the table when I have to have a conversation. And I don't know
exactly.
everything that's going on with up in Canada. So really, I'm just speaking in support of resolution um, to the problems that are happening.
And
Um,
common sense.
yeah, and the next part of the sextet here is in governing, don't try to control.
Yeah, common sense, people. Common
Yes,
sense.
common sense.
The truckers spend all day in a truck by themselves or with an individual family member. It's not like they're roaming around in public. Okay, common sense. It is not, is it very frightening to have, like, I don't know if you've seen the streets, but they're full of bouncy houses because they have their kids with them. So they got all these little castle bouncy houses for the kids to do stuff. Like, let's have a little common sense here.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And so when you get into this, tyranny and bullying that this line is talking about, whew, common sense is thrown out the window.
Yeah. And this is a really beautiful sort of group of six things that we got here: in dwelling, in thinking, in conflict, in governing, in work, do what you enjoy, and in family life be completely present. And it seems like everything on that list, like I mean we don't know where they're living, of course, but in thinking keep to the simple, in
Hmm.
conflict be fair and generous, in governing don't try to control, in work do what you enjoy, and in family life be completely present. And it really seems like The stuff that's going on in Canada right now really kind of hold on to five of those things, right? In
Mm-hmm.
thinking, keep to the simple. They want to remove the mandate for themselves, and that seems to be fair. In conflict, be fair and generous. They're offering plenty of opportunity to have conversation. It seems, whether or not that's true on the ground, I don't know, but it seems to me.
Well, and not only
And
that, but they're like shoveling the snow and
right, they're taking care of the community.
yeah, and they're helping people and crime has gone down over
Right,
90% in the short time they've been there. In fact, some people have started having them, come stay with them. I'm Canadian as well, so I actually have contacts that live in that city. So it's not just the news that I know, just FYI.
right, yeah,
So, you know this, but I'm just saying it out loud. But
right,
you look at this, and like you said, these opportunities. I would think that you would want to go and speak to these people. So I really feel like and they do what they love. That's part of the reason they're fighting
right.
for. They love what they're doing, and some of them have their families. That's why they have the bouncy castles.
Right, and they're being present even now. They're
Yep.
being completely present with their families even now.
Yep, they made a little hockey rinks, so the kids could play. The river goes over and they do skating there. They've had all these kids activities and there's families there. They're making it like so I do feel like all of these are this is about the Canadian truckers.
That's right. And then it finishes off with when you are content to simply be yourself, Canadian or American. You
Or
don't
Australian
or
or
Australian, yeah, or
Spanish, whatever.
if you are content to be simply yourself, don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you.
Yes. We talk about that all the time of
Yeah,
don't worry about comparing yourself to anybody else. Follow your path. Your path is completely unique to you. This
that's
was awesome.
such a nice way to talk about the Canadian trucker strike, and it's such a beautiful support.
Last time it was Darth Vader. This time it's the truckers and Garth
That's right.
Brooks. I mean, we really make this an entertainment show.
We do, we do. We are touching the bases, as they say.
That's
So
right.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Catherine. Love you. We'll be in
Mwah!
touch.
Love you too. Have fun on your trip back.
Oh yeah, I will. Thank you.
All right. Catch you
Bye
on the
bye.
flip.
All right, we're bringing Emily up. Emily's got a new photo. It looks like. What spurred that?
John, how are you?
I'm well. How are
Uh,
you?
I'm very well. Just to, some people are malintentioned on Instagram sometimes, like, in their approach to me. So I just wanted to make it clear that I was coupled.
Oh, I see. Yes,
But
yes,
that is one of
yes.
the happiest moments of my life right there, and you can see it on my face. And we were in a very special place. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's one of a kind in North America. It's a very wonderful Japanese spa resort in Santa Fe, and it's called 10,000 Waves. And it
Mm.
is just majestic. And I went there for my birthday, and I wanted to share that place with my soulmate because to me, I don't know. And there's something about, Arizona, New Mexico. There's a lot of, they say vortexes, and for me, it feels very spiritual and it's up in the mountains, and there's all these private hot tubs, but they're huge, like pools. And or if you don't want that experience, you can be in the garden, the general area, but that's majestic as well. And there's all these different experiences, and it's just there's nothing like it. And so 10,000 Waves and Santa Fe, and if you
Well, there it
can't,
is. There's just a little plug for 10,000 ways. I
well,
love that.
because and I have no affiliation with
No,
them.
I know, I
I
know.
I find it so healing. I find it
Yeah,
so, so healing. There's just such a zen, and they actually have this zen room. So after you do whatever therapies you want or massage or whatever, you can go into the zen room and listen to zen music and just meditate. And it's just the most, but it's one of a kind. If you have a sweetie, you want to impress her on a special Hallmark anniversary, take her to 10,000 Waves and you will have a happy ending.
10,000 waves, and you will be rewarded.
And they just built this big pagoda, and it just gets
Oh,
more and more authentically Japanese, and it's just very special.
very nice, very
So
nice, very nice. I have never been drawn to the Southwest, but it looks like I'll be going there this spring. just to
Oh.
visit because I only travel for people.
Mhm.
That is my only desire to travel. Like, I don't have to go anywhere, and I'm good.
Right.
But when someone is somewhere and I want to connect, I go there. And I was never drawn to the Southwest, even though I did have some people in the Southwest. They were not people that I would necessarily travel for. But
Right. Well,
now,
I think it makes the experience so much more authentic, and then they'll take you to the native places that you might have overlooked as being ordinary. And it
yeah,
can be the most best part of the trip is, when you're really with the natives.
with the natives of the
Mm.
Southwest, like the new natives, not the actual natives.
Well, yes, that's right. Thank you.
I
That's
mean,
true.
I guess I can go to a reserve, but
Well, my mother's people came over on the Mayflower, so I'm very Quaker centric.
okay. I love the Quakers. Love the Quakers.
Well, yeah, it's funny
Like just
though.
well, like let me put it this way. I love meeting of friends.
Yes, I just feel bad for all the sexual oppression.
Yeah, like welcome to the Puritan fucking states, right? Like, like you guys started it.
So
the
Martian,
Quakers, the
oh,
Quakers
I'm sorry.
brought it,
Yes, they
and
did, and
really,
it
really,
stayed so
really,
long.
yeah,
Then
yeah.
marry it with
It's
a Roman dogma, and that's centuries of just ruining sexuality forever.
yeah. Well, like we can, but like I love a good meeting of friends. Love a good meeting of friends.
Okay, so every time I've seen you this week, and I haven't always been able to stay because I've
Yeah,
actually been taking care of myself for once.
good on
I
you.
keep hearing the number 44, so I'm supposed to ask about the number 44.
Well, I see the number 44 right here, and we are there. Okay, 44. Fame or integrity, which is more important? Money or
Ooh.
happiness, which is more
Ooh.
valuable? Success or failure, which is more destructive? If you look to others for fulfillment, you will never truly be fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never be happy with yourself. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you.
Hot damn, that is the right number, Martin. I love it.
Yeah? Talk to me. What makes it the right number for you right now?
Well, go through it because with my COVID brain, and I didn't grab a pen fast enough. So, but it
Oh,
very much spoke to me. So,
okay. So fame. So there's this first, like we talked in with uh with Catherine about her sextet of like all of the things that you should do in living and all this, and we start here with a group of six, but that group of six is broken up into twos. So right, fame or integrity.
fame
And
or
the
integrity.
way that we address these groups is these three ways. Like what's more important, what's more valuable, and what's more
Right.
destructive, right? And it's interesting to look at it that way, right? So which is more important, fame or integrity?
Oh, it's
Of course.
absolutely integrity for me. I mean, I
Well, I can't like it seems to be a question that of course everybody is moving towards fame. But if we were to ask that question, we of course know the answer is integrity.
well, yeah,
And
but
yet
it's not popular.
it is so up for sale.
Well, not to me. And I spent a lot of my life getting out of other people's expectations and judgments. And one of the reasons that I'm such a thorn in my people's side is that I have an activist heart and I have a heart for social justice and I am a whistleblower. And there's just something in me, I cannot turn that off. I always was the one that championed the one being bullied. And, I just it's something in me, it must be what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So I love to whistle blow, and I've been a little worried though, and I'm glad we're talking about this because I did start to feel like I needed to censor a bit because I've been so outspoken about very specific corporations, but it's just like I see this global trauma as being a very necessary entropy to these established corporate systems that are dinosauric and they need to entropy. And we need to start talking about that, right? But then I know that last night I literally heard career suicide in my head and I was like, no, no, Satan, go away, you know,
Right.
because I want to be my authentic self. And when you are and you're doing what the creator sent you to do, you don't have to worry about public perception. Your tribe will surface.
Right. Yeah. And that's the big, like, and I don't know. like I can't even imagine someone saying, well, fame, of course, fame is more important than integrity. Like,
Well,
you
in
know, but then I
America.
look out at the
Yeah.
world today at how many people are actually selling their integrity, at
Right.
least maybe in my eyes, and maybe that's something that I need to look at for, you know, more fame or
Right.
for, just to be out there in the world again. And then the next one is money or happiness, which is more valuable. And again, the use of the word valuable here is such an important translation, right? Like the way, like, like in the first one, which is more important. Now, which is more valuable?
Oh, I know
Fame
that. Yeah.
or money or happiness?
Oh, it's happiness always for me. I saw people living in cardboard boxes in Mexico happier than my shameful self wearing hand-me-downs. But I had running water and a house and protection and heat and so it's these contrasts. And so I learned very early that happiness was more important. And so I shed the material acquisition phase pretty soon in my life.
Yeah, and you said more important, and I want to just kind of bring back, it's about value. It is
Yeah.
not just about importance. It's about, like, because yes, okay, like we can say happiness is more important than money, but which is more valuable? Because, like, out in the world, we can look at so many things that, we can even look at the work that I'm doing here. Like, it's not earning me any money. It's not offering, but like the value that I'm offering here on wisdom, like, one, it's bringing me so much happiness and it's so much good stuff, but it's like how do we understand the word value? And when we can understand the word value as it relates to happiness, then we look out at the world and say, but then why is the value of a country on its GDP, right? Like, why is the GDP so important, or why is the GDP the measure of value when we know happiness is more valuable than money?
Right, like that country I saw in 60 Minutes, I think it was Bhutan, where they don't measure GDP, they measure GNP,
Right.
no, what was it? Gross national GNH, gross national happiness,
Yeah, they
and they're
do.
a Bu
And that's like
they're more
one
of a
country in
Buddhist.
the entire world that
Yeah,
read this.
right. Well, we all have different journeys.
Yeah, we
We
do. We
land
do.
where we
We
land.
do.
We land where we land with the
That's
family.
right.
I believe we even choose our family. I believe we have much more co-authored this existence than we realize we have, which
Well,
has
I
helped
don't know.
that
I
that has
mean, I
kept me
think it
out of
depends on how much
victimization
we
mode.
realize we've had. I think maybe because I think everything that we experience is like everything. Like we before we even came into this body, we had a contract on what we were going to experience.
That's what I believe. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
that has helped me
That's
stay
that's
out of
not
victim.
that's not a strange belief. I think that's had by most of us. I just don't know that everybody wants to admit that they have that belief.
Right. Well, that helped me a lot when I read that in a near-death experiencer's account of it helped keep me out of the framework of victimization and shame. And it's
Yeah.
not, and I'll land there
We
sometimes, but
talked
I don't
about that.
I
Yeah,
don't
we talked
stay
about
there.
that
Yeah.
with the energy lady today as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, we don't stay there. We try not to stay there.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm good with that. That all resonates
All
with
right.
me.
So then we move on to this next part, these two sections that say, if you look to others for fulfillment, you will never be truly fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never truly be happy with yourself.
Right. Yeah. No, I got that. I got that.
Yeah, if you look to others for fulfillment, you'll never be fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never be happy with yourself. And that's the thing. Like, we have to really recognize that, like, that which is kind of, controlling our thoughts right now, whether it's like, oh, I need fulfillment in a relationship, or I need fulfillment in a thing, I need fulfillment in a business, I need
No.
happiness, all of that can fall away.
Happiness is an inside job between you and your creator. And I believe that you get there faster when you have that relationship with your whatever higher power in check before you try to have any parallel or lateral relationships with mortals.
Yeah. And that's a huge ask, especially because we start getting in relationships before we have a real frame of reference as to
Right.
who we are.
Right. And then we lean on each other too much. And we're all just struggling humans and we're all just so imperfect. And after the honeymoon phase ends and the projections of ourselves that we wanted our mate to see and those masks come off, that's when people hit the rocks. And so, yeah, happiness is an inside job, and you can't love people for variables that change. And you
Yeah,
can't take anything with you on your deathbed but the
that's right.
love you gave and the love that was received. And so I've seen that again and again. I never ever heard a business executive talk about how he wished he worked more hours or had another boat.
Right,
In fact, it's those hardworking business executives that got so out of touch with their authentic self. They often die alone
right.
after all that material success, and I find that very tragic.
Yeah, and that's where this final section comes in, right? Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you.
Ooh, I just got a music download. Can I sing it?
Yeah.
And when you can't have the one you love, honey, love the one you with, love the one you. You know,
Yeah.
we find happiness in our current circumstance because it comes from not our external circumstances. It comes from our internal connection with something higher that reminds us that we're more than this mortal experience.
Yeah. And I love that, right? Be content with what you have. Like no matter what that is. And if that means that, you're just be content right here. Rejoice in the way things are right now. You don't have to, it doesn't have to change. It will, in, invariably, it will, but it doesn't have to for you.
Plus, you know, something that's really resonated with me lately, and I'll be brief because I know I'm ending,
Yeah,
is don't label the experience before, don't label the chapter until you get to the end of the chapter, and don't label the experience until you understand the novel. It's like in the moment it can seem like you're stuck or it's a problem, but then you find out it was like the most majestic catalyst for growth. And maybe it's a season of growth and awakening, right?
yeah.
So to try not to label the experience, just be in the moment. And usually the moment is not so bad.
It's interesting. We're having this sort of theme today of adjectives. Like Lois came on first, and she was talking about this idea of not using adjectives.
Oh, I
Don't
didn't hear
have to
Lois. Yeah,
describe it.
but I heard Bella, and I was like, oh yeah, I do that all the time. Thanks, Bella.
Yeah,
Thanks for the
yeah,
reminder.
yeah. Bella always comes on and gives me a nice little recap. She was kind of our. She was really nice. She
Well, I
came
think
in.
that's the beautiful ripple effect, right? We listen, we take in information, and we spread it in our own unique way.
That's right. Yeah.
So bless you, Martin John.
Thank you,
Father,
dear.
Son, and Holy Ghost.
Oh,
Stay
thank
safe
you
out
so
there.
much. Love you, love you, love you. We're bringing Sharente on, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about the Dow. Good, I love what I do. Sharente, how you doing, girl?
Martin John to the Martin John to the Garcia.
I
How
love
you
it when people
doing?
call me Garcia. Like when people get to know me, they're just like, "Hey, Garcia." Like,
Oh yeah, that's how you know it because it's just the last name, like
yeah,
Car.
it's just
And I'm
like,
like,
yeah.
come on now, guys. That's just okay. No, because here's the thing. I make a joke about my name. So my initials originally, before I got married, were it's Charente Agenais Bernard. So that is CAB. So I went from a
CAB.
cab to a car. I upgraded.
That's cute.
Oh, I loved listening to Emily and then to Catherine. Um, and you guys are so right. I was talking about being labelless right after my sister passed away last year. And I was
Mm.
like, I don't understand why people label things because they accept the label and then then they start becoming the label. And then they're like, why how did I get here? And I'm like, but you accepted the label. And then a lot of people like, especially in America, we like projecting labels on everything. And I'm like, I get Adam how to name animals, but come on now. I
That's
think
right.
we're being a little too excessive here. But
Yeah.
that's just me and my little 2 cents.
Well, I like I have all these like little like puns and stuff. Like I'm too broke, I can't pay attention, stuff like that. But 2 cents
Yeah,
is
stuff
always I
like
can
that.
always I
And
can
I'm
always use
like,
2 cents.
exactly. And I'm like, that's not cool. And the thing is that I was saying those a lot when I was younger, and I didn't realize that that was the reason why I was at the where I was at. But
Yeah.
now knowing the power of words and how it
Hmm.
really is a two-edged sword, that what part are you going to be stabbing? what part are
Sure.
you gonna be stabbing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, Martin, I have the number. I think it's 17.
17.
That's the number that popped out to me.
Yeah. All of today's are relatively shorter, which is nice because I can get through them and we can really kind of dive in. When the master governs, now I want to also kind of, I don't know if we've talked about governing and stuff, but when we talk about governing, it's like you are the master governing your body, and maybe you govern your home, and so everybody governs something, right? Like, and
Responsibility, kind
yeah,
of.
and
Okay.
so I just want to make sure that this is the way that I process it, so that we don't get into the idea of like, well, I don't govern anything, like, or this, I'm not a country. What does this have to do with me? And so I
Okay.
always like to kind of just just cut that
Thanks
off
for the
before you.
caution on the
Yeah,
front of your like Sharente here. So definition to
yeah.
this word before you even get to it. I got it. Thanks.
when when the master governs, the people are hardly aware he exists. The next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised. If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, "Amazing, we did it all by ourselves."
Okay. So what I got from that for my for myself is that even though this is what I got for myself. It's
Yeah.
so I govern my house though, and when by me governing my house and making sure like no negativity really stays here, and I mean that the habitual negativity, as in constantly thinking the thoughts, constantly being in the state of depression. That's how I govern the house, and because of that, it's more of a, I would say, a safer space for people to be in, to come lay their head down if they need to, not for them
Mhm.
to stay long, for if they for if they need to, it's a safer place for them to come lay their head,
Yeah.
and I cultivate that. That's not
Mhm.
something that they know. They don't know what I do.
They don't know.
They don't know
Yeah.
the prayer work I do. They don't know the cleaning I do. They don't notice it majority
Mm-mm.
of the time. And the
Right.
thing is that it's not for them to notice because I'm cultivating it, because I also have to live here too.
Yeah.
And I like a certain mentality and I like a certain standard.
That's right. Yeah. No, I get it.
So for me, I will just say I love that, and then I also will say this is I got into a partnership with I'll be honest, with my sister, my little sister on my other sister side, because technically she's not my sister biologically, but she's my
Mhm.
sister. That's
Yeah.
who I call her.
Yeah.
And I gave her this task because I was like, video editing, I love doing it, but I don't have enough time because I want to do other stuff. So I gave it to her and I called her last night because I was like, I'm just checking performance wise. Like, do you even like doing this? Because if you don't, like, we can just stop and that'll be perfectly fine. I'm not
Right.
worried about nothing. She's like, no, it takes me like less than 30 minutes and I like doing it a lot. And I was like, okay, then I'm about to raise you. Now I want you to start posting your own videos and your own quotes on your own social media pages. If you're okay doing this for me, I want you now to start doing it for you.
Mhm.
And the thing is that I do all this stuff in quiet. I don't say a lot of things that I actually do. And I don't mention this on any other app. I don't mention this even on phone calls. And the reason I don't mention this is because it's no one else's business how I'm helping the kingdom all the time.
Right.
It's majority of those quiet conversations. And that's how I govern, is the quiet conversations. And I trust whoever it is that I'm talking to until they show that they're not one to be trusted like that. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure out where your line is. And then when I figure out where your line is, then I know I can trust you to that line. And that's okay, because you're going to build that back up. I really
Right.
believe that you're going to build it back up. It's just I need to know now where you stand.
Right.
Um and so that's a really good one. I like it, and also it could be in regards to the social climate, in regards to people liking some of the presidents and people not liking the president. And that what that just said is there's some stuff that's going to be happening. That's all I heard out of that too. And I'm
Right.
like, I know I don't want to foresee doom and gloom, but it needs to happen because people are not being aware that there needs to be changes, and there there has something that has to give, because the government and is in a place that it shouldn't have never been in, according to what they said that was their original place that it was supposed to be. We're not there. And that's because we're not constantly changing everybody out. We're only constantly changing a couple of people out. And that's not actually getting us as far as we can be in regards to the progress for education, the progress in regards to our kids and how we're seeing them grow up by themselves. And my thing is that it, for me as a person that will have a child, is I'm gonna be there like my mom was there for me. And because I'm praying that me and my husband are still together, because that's what it looks like. That's what the projection I'm seeing still is that they're going to have a two-parent household. So they're going to know what it is to be a masculine. They're going to know what it means to be a feminine energy, and for them to be both of those things, not just one or the other based off what society tells you that you are. And I just really appreciate this little few words, and I appreciated the few words from Emily's too, because that meant a lot to me too. Because it's not about the money at the end of the day. I really had to learn that after being around people that it was all about the money for them, and when I was around them, and I started thinking like them, and then I started behaving like them, and then I realized that keeping up with the Joneses was leading me to the grave. And I didn't want to die. I didn't want to die.
Yeah.
So I had to reshape my thinking and put off the old man and put on the new man, which is renewed in the knowledge of him who has created us. And by doing that, I'm really enjoying life, and not much happened yesterday, but I was in so much joy and radiance, and it was really, really nice. And then I'll say this part, and John, we're about to get personal. You're like, Shrente, we've already been personal, but
Yeah,
you're about to hear me.
yeah, we're here.
I just realized this, and I just want to hopefully give encouragement to anyone listening. Is when I was younger, around 12, I started getting my periods, and they rarely came. I looked at my period calendar yesterday, and from 2016 I had 3 periods all year. 2017 I had one. 2018 I had 6. I didn't have many periods, but I can say in 2021 I had 11 periods. I'm getting them
Wow.
every month now, and I'm not going to cry, but I'm in so much gratitude
Yeah.
right now. I'm in so much gratitude the fact that my body is back into alignment. And for me, it also shows me signs of, Shrente, you are going to be able to have kids. You are going to be able to have kids. It's
Mm.
just you needed to take the time to get the baggage off. Because what I didn't know is that when you are carrying a child, they can feel your emotions. They
Mm-hmm.
can feel that trauma, and that trauma will be sent to them for them to have been living already in that trauma, not knowing what the heck that trauma was,
Mm-hmm.
because it was already within you. And when you birthed them with that trauma that you have in you. And I wouldn't want to do that to my child. I
You
really
know,
would.
we talk a lot. I'm coming out of addiction and all that kind of stuff. So we talk a lot about like alcohol, fetus syndrome, and crack babies and things like that. And those are chemicals, right? But so are your emotions. And so it's real important that when you're pregnant, this is why we in not here in the States, but we in the world, for most part, when someone is pregnant, we treat them with care
They're
because of
holding a
that.
whole little universe in them, a whole little
Yeah.
universe that I'm like, a universe within a universe. This is
But
very interesting.
we also have to recognize that our experience like started in the womb of our grandmother,
It did.
because every one of the eggs that you carry was in you when you were born. And so I was in the womb of my grandmother And so I started adopting stresses and other things through the pregnancy of my mom, like my grandmother's pregnancy of my mom. And then her whole life, the egg learned about the world around it and brought on all of these traumas. And then I was formed, and that's when I start to pull on the stresses and the world of the short-term world of my father, right? Like, and that's where so much kind of is. And back to the Tao, like when we talk about like when the master governs, the people are hardly aware he exists. Imagine being born without having all of the preconceived ideas of, like your entire mother's life to contribute to
Oh
that.
yeah. And then here's the thing. Then the mom doesn't even want to tell the child what they actually have been through.
That's right.
But I will say this. I'm grateful to my mom for telling me her story and
Right.
always telling me her story. So I had a base point to say, ah, that makes sense now. Okay.
Right.
I think I understand the assignment. I think I know how to take care of this now. And because the thing is that history repeats itself. And I think that's where that really comes from is history repeats itself because you are your ancestors and your ancestors are you.
And like that moves into this next section of the Tao, which says if you don't trust people, you make them untrustworthy. Meaning, if your mom can't trust you that you can handle the information, you make them into people that can't handle the information. You make them into people who are scared because you treat them as if they should be.
And the thing is, you shouldn't because hero, the fact if you're an adult now, that means that they wiped your ass. Okay. They dealt
Mm-hmm.
with your throw up. Okay. The things that you don't want to deal with yourself as an adult, they dealt with and they did it as cheerfully as they possibly could with the fact that they're also probably really fatigued and tired.
That's right.
And they did the best that they could. And the fact that you're an adult now standing up and being here, I am grateful to your ancestors, Martin John. I'm grateful to my ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful to everyone's ancestors because without them, how would I have mirrors to see where I needed to heal?
That's right. And you're not just healing for yourself, right? You're healing for everybody in your lineage and everybody in the future of your lineage. And that's the thing, like we have to realize that we are going to have to do that for our parents maybe. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
if they have to be able to accept and we have to be able to accept that that's an exchange. Thank you so much, Sharente. If you wanted to come in and land that, I don't know if you had anything more to say, but if you do, I'll bring you back on happily. Of course. But yeah, like this is an exchange. We are here living together.
I think I'm back. Am I back?
Yep, yep, you're back.
Yay! I've landed on the Martin John stage again. I thought it was a fluke. Uh, so I'll just say this is that the Pono prayer.
Mm-hmm.
That shit right there. That shit right there is actually a prayer.
Go on.
No, I'm so serious. No, that's the prayer I started praying when I was at my lowest. That's what the prayer I started praying when I was trying to reprogram. That was the prayer I was praying when I was in the room and I refused to leave the room, refused to open the curtains. I just wanted to stay in the dark. That's the prayer I prayed. Is I
Yeah.
just wanted to do it, and now I am living the other life. I am living on the other flip side, and it feels so good to be
Mm-hmm.
here. And I know also where I'm not going back to.
Right.
Okay, and
Mm.
I also will say this is for me personally speaking, God has given me my vision. God has given me my target audience. If you want to say it's a target audience, I don't like saying that at all. I think I think I actually understand my assignment. And my assignment is to really help those that really can't help themselves. So I think my company, because I've been trying to figure this out for over a year now, is what my company is going to be. My company is going to be a company that's going to help children. And I'm talking like all kids. I already started by creating a letter tracing book for kids age 4 to 6. And after I did volunteer work, I was talking to one of the kids and he's like, Sharente, how do I motivate myself? And I'm like, I'll just start by saying this. I can't motivate you. I can enthuse you, I can inspire you, but I can't motivate you. That comes from yourself, and that comes from you taking the time to learn things for yourself. And after I did that moment, Mr. Martin John, I was like, oh, no, it's the kids. It's always been the kids. And I love adults and I don't mind helping adults. But my special place has always been helping kids. And even when I was a kid, I was still helping kids. And if
Yeah.
someone was hurting someone else, trust and believe I wish a fool would, because Sharente would then come out as a bully. And I didn't care because I was like, if it's my strong words and my confidence is going to stop that person from touching that person, then I'm going to use my strong words and confidence. I never had to put my hand on nobody. I just had to use my words, and my words were way more than enough because it had gravity when I was a lot younger, and they still have gravity today. It's just I believe that everything can really be talked out, and
Yeah.
only in very extreme cases does it need to result to violence. And when I say very extreme cases, no cases for me, because it doesn't make sense to take another person's life. It doesn't make sense.
Right. And that could be done in so many ways, just by taking their
Calling them stupid
yeah,
is taking their life.
yeah, just take, yeah, absolutely. And it happens, and that's why the master, like, is able to get the individuals that follow the master. And like that, one of the nice things about this verse is that we're not talking about the master as a leader when he happens to govern, or when she happens to govern. When people look at them, when people look to the master to move, the people say, amazing, we did it ourselves. And here's this, like, in the beginning of this, we talk about these four different levels, right? When the master happens to govern versus when the leader purposely moves themselves into a place of governing, they it's great if they're loved. The next best is the one who is feared, and the worst is one who is despised. And those are people that govern our lives, and those are us. Like, there are times where we love ourselves. There are times where we fear ourselves and what's possible and what we're capable of. And there are times we despise ourselves.
Oh
And that's
yeah,
all
and
true.
I will say this: that Spider-Man quote, I probably came from something else, but with great power comes great responsibility. My family started calling me the chairman of the board since I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
So because they called me that, I was like, I need to study now, because that means I'm gonna have great influence on my life. Especially when the counselors were saying the exact same thing, and the school principals were saying the exact same thing. I mean, I'm like, okay, they see something that apparently I'm not seeing. So I need to study this out. I need to understand this. And because of that, there's a lot of things that I do that people don't know. Like, I will say this: I've helped a client where I made all their graphics and stuff, and I told them how to do their stuff, set up all their things and their mechanisms just for them to make sure they have a business going, because that's what they want. And I was like, they have issues with tech. So I'm not going to say, no, I did all that. No, 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 no. They
Right.
did that.
Yeah.
They just had an issue translating. And there's nothing wrong with having issues translating. That's why there's translators.
Right.
So,
And
um,
Google does that shit now. So what's up? Like,
be careful with the Googles. Be careful with the Googles, because that
oh,
grammar is
I'm
whoo.
I am not. I am, yeah, yeah. Grammar's bad.
Oh yeah,
But, well,
no,
but
hero.
either way, I'm not. I
Either
would
way,
never. I would never stand behind Google on anything.
I
It's
really
the
don't either. But I will say, can you give me the last part one more time? I just want to make sure I finish the rest of this to
yeah.
make sure I heard it.
The master, and when we reference the master here, we're referencing that beginning of the master governs the people, the master who happens to be governing, right? When the
Yes.
master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, amazing, we did it all by ourselves.
Okay. So what the last thing that I got from that is that your actions speak a lot louder than your words. And I would say for me, it's like I said, everyone doesn't need to know the process. They just need to feel empowered that they can do it for themselves, and they can.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that is exactly why all my work revolves around people recovering themselves. I don't want you to recover me. I don't want you to recover something that I see for you. I want you to recover you, and a you that you've never known. The you that is connected to a you that has not been influenced by your grandmother and your mother's lives. Like, yes, you've grown beyond that, but the choices you're making today are not dependent on those perceptions.
Oh yeah, they're not. And the thing is that you get to choose the life that you have. You really do, because it's a sum of your choices of where your current reality is at. It's a sum of your thoughts and your emotions to where your life is at. And
Yeah,
if you don't currently like it, I'm just going to implore you to make another decision. Instead of saying yes, say no to some things and
that's
say
right.
yes to some other things.
That's right.
Because all no is next opportunity. That's all it is.
That's it.
But
Thank you
thank you,
so
Martin
much.
Job.
Absolutely. You are so beautiful. Thank you. And my best to you. We're bringing Cicely up. I believe I spoke to Cicely months and months ago. Cicely, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I think it has been a few months.
Been a while. Like, I know you.
Yeah.
We have not spoken in a minute, but I'm really glad to have you up again. How are you? How has your travels and how have all of the things going for you here on Wisdom and in your life?
Well, I call myself the silly goose, almost like Mother Goose.
Mm-hmm.
Mother Goose has had to put her blood, sweat, and tears into an idea and have faith that it will work. And it actually worked. So,
Oh, go on.
yeah, I am now the general manager of a store, and I
Nice.
also manage a podcast studio.
Well, look at you go on.
Yeah, but this was the kicker now, Martin. This was the kicker. I got called a humble genius, and it finally clicked to me that I'm actually smart.
Yeah, that takes a
And
lot.
it takes a lot because I was sitting here thinking I wasn't doing enough. I'm always in the mindset of I'm not doing enough. I have a very harsh outlook on life because you have hard situations, you have hard lives,
Hmm.
but I always use that to propel me into better.
Yes.
So now I'm finally starting to learn to be present and be here. And that is the hardest lesson for a busybody and an overachiever, to just be present and enjoy the fact that actually, I am called a prodigy when I'm not in the room. I'm called a prodigy in places where I know no one.
Yeah.
I'm a 28-year-old GM just off blood, sweat, and tears. And one of the people that works under me, he was like, if you don't believe that you're a genius, your work ethic alone is prodigy worth. And to actually hear it reflected back to me just made me stop in my tracks. And I was like, maybe I did do something right.
You're only doing something right, girl. Come on. Like, and that's the thing. We don't see that. And it's hard to, like it took me, I don't know, I'm 46 now. It took me fucking 46 years to realize that I'm wicked smart. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like, I was bad in school. I didn't make sense to people. I was laughed at. I was made fun of. All that kind of stuff. But that didn't stop me. We just kept going. And you know what? Being wicked smart doesn't mean I'm going to stop either. Just because I
Mm-hmm.
know it doesn't mean that it is something that is just graced to me. It is my work. It is who I am to get here. So let's share some Tao. You got a number for me? Between 1 and 81?
Let's try 80.
80?
80.
Beautiful. Okay, now I explained this to Sharente, but I'm going to talk about this as well here, just because we are talking about a country. Now, a country could be your body. A country could be anything, right? It could be your family. It could be the it could be the store that you manage.
Hmm.
If a country is governed wisely, its inhabitants will be content. They enjoy the labor of their hands and don't waste time inventing labor saving machines. Sincere, nope, not sincere. Since they dearly love their homes, they aren't interested in travel. There may be a few wagons and boats, but they don't go anywhere. There may be an arsenal of weapons, but nobody ever uses them. People enjoy their food, take pleasure in being with their families, spend weekends working in their gardens, delight in the doings of the neighborhood. And even though the next country is so close, the people can hear the roosters crowing in the morning. They are content to die of old age without ever having gone to see it.
Oh, that's funny because that's the kind of work environment I try to cultivate. My form of leadership comes from me showing how hard I can work. And my
Yeah,
the people that work under me and my interns, they're just like, you're always here and you're always here for us. You never like there's never a time I can't call you. And that's kind of something I pride myself on. Like if you need me, I'm here.
yeah. Because this is your home. Like your life is not compartmentalized into so many things, but there needs to be balance, of course, but there's balance in all that you do, is my guess.
Mm. Cause even I can make anywhere feel like home. I'm one of those
Yeah.
people. I did a lot of moving as a kid,
Mhm.
and I can make anywhere feel like home. And I have a habit of being a home for people because I don't feel like home is a place. I feel like it's an emotion,
Yeah.
and I'm a home for a lot of people. Like I give people rest just because that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
A listening ear when they need it, a shoulder to cry on. I feel
Hmm.
like a home to people. Like a lot of people will call me and be like, "You don't know how much you affected my life," and I'm just like, "Huh? I was just doing."
I was just doing Sicily. Ain't no big thing.
Yeah, and people like, "You're too humble. You're too humble. You're too humble." But I feel like that humbleness is what connects me to people.
Yeah.
That softness. That I'm not a violent person. Like I don't want to fight. I don't want to fuss. That diplomatic side. Like I always go for talking it out first. And
Mhm.
people like, they're disrespecting you. They're being mean. They're being this. And I'm like, I understand if you're having a bad day. Do you need to talk? And they're like, what?
Shit ain't my problem what they say.
It's not. And it's so funny because Sharante was saying that using her story to propel her into a better place and using it to help people. I feel like if I've only helped one person in my entire life, I've done my job.
Mhm.
If my story only helped one person, I did something great. Now, what I'm learning is what I do for people and my genuine kindness really does affect people more than I realize.
Mhm. And, staying humble at the same time.
Right. Because it just blows my mind that I'm known in a prodigy in rooms that I've never been in.
Right. And so I want to go through this line by line so we can kind of dive in a bit. And if a country is governed wisely, its inhabitants will be content. And like when we look at your body, if your body is governed wisely, if your schedule is governed wisely, the things that are in that schedule that you are engaged in that schedule, you'll be content. You'll be content
Mm-hmm.
without having to take credit for other people's work. You'll be
Mm-hmm.
content with allowing other people to feel good without feeling like that's a threat. Because we've all
Mm-hmm.
seen people come up in our lives who are just like, oh, your success is a threat to me. But if a country is governed wisely, its inhabitants will be content. So everything within that will be content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I like this next section, which is like they enjoy the labor of their hands and don't waste time inventing labor saving machines.
It's about enjoying the work you do,
That's
genuinely
right.
enjoying it. You can
That's right.
inspire people to enjoy what they do if you work
Mhm.
hard too.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like a true leader is, somebody that will work so hard that they get things done. and people look at him like, wow, I can't believe you did that. And I'm like, yeah, I do it. I do it so I can show you how to do it. I do it so I can inspire you to do it. You know?
That's right. And you know, like there's like I'm a big fan of craft, meaning doing what you do really well.
Mm-hmm.
And and you know, yes, you can get it done with a machine easier and faster, but to what end? Like what else are you doing that you can't make this thing?
Yes, working with intent creates
Yes.
craftsmen. It's the intent of the work that you're doing, not just doing the work.
It's not
But
the goal isn't just to have it done.
right, it's
It's
to
to
do it
have
well.
done it.
Done it and done it to your best of your abilities. And it's okay
Yeah,
if you're not the best at things.
that's right.
But I always feel like people, everybody is useful for something. We just have to tap into what this person's good at. And that's my style of management. Like, what are you good at? What do you love to do? And
Yeah,
I've
and those
had,
two things may be very different.
mm-hmm,
You may love to do something that you're not good at, but you know what? When you get the opportunity to do it, guess who's going to get good at it?
right. Practice makes proficient, not perfect.
That's right. Practice makes progress. That's what we say. Go
Mm-hmm.
on.
It makes progress. But
Yeah.
nobody said as an artist or a painter or any type of media or anything that you had to be good at what you were doing. You just had to
No.
love it.
That's it. You just step up because the goal isn't the artwork. I know we
Mm-hmm.
think that in our world, but the goal is you're opening your mind to the creation. You're
Right.
you're you're seeing God within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Your ability to love yourself on a deeper level.
That's the part. That's the one. Like, it's almost like work becomes meditation. I'm one of those people. I say I feel better at work
Yeah. When you
because
got to do.
it's a place for my mind to function and
Mhm.
meditate through. And as long as I make it like home, I can have peace in my brain.
You know, and that brings us right to this next line. Since they dearly love their home, they aren't interested in travel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that home could be your body. That home could be your job. That home could be everywhere and everything you engage in. You
Mm-hmm.
so dearly love that which is around you that you don't need to travel. Meaning you don't have to put your mind on being someone else or being
Mm-hmm.
being like someone else or being in a different job or being, like of course those things may come, but like you're not interested in it just because when the opportunity shows itself maybe you can move in that direction, but you're not out there constantly looking to move, to travel.
Mm. Yeah. See, I always felt like I had a restless spirit in that aspect because I was always seeking the next thing instead of acknowledging the things that are right there.
Yeah, and that's tough because then we have to kind of admit to ourselves sometimes, well, what don't I love about this,
Mm-hmm.
or what don't I love about me? I know that was the question I had to ask.
Right. And then you have to find those pieces and love them
Mm,
the same as you love the good parts.
yeah. You got to embrace them, and that's why the work that I do always revolves around that concept of recovering yourself. Because
Mm,
you're living under the influence of other people telling you you're not good, you're not good enough, or whatever.
absolutely. Constant criticism, judgment,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes you feel like I always felt like I wasn't enough. Just what purely wasn't enough until I got into a different environment and realized I was enough. I was more than enough. I was overqualified. I
Damn
was
right.
just not enough for the people that people wouldn't see my worth, and I had to.
That's right. And your worth was just outside of their scope of view.
Right.
There
Because
may be. Oh, go on.
I always wondered why everyone around me was allowed to make mistakes, but I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I was always told was, "You're too smart to make those type of mistakes." Even though I was a kid, like yeah, I was smart,
Yeah.
but I was still a kid. Like
And
there's no
that's the
way.
that's the thing. Like making mistakes is so important. Making mistakes is so important, but being chastised for them is so, I don't want to say wrong, but it's definitely not the most helpful, like, but
Yeah.
making mistakes, like we all need to make mistakes because we grow from our mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what drives us from the inside. You know, and
And
here
it,
this is interesting because it says there may be a few wagons and boats, but these don't go anywhere. There may be an arsenal of weapons, but nobody ever uses them. When I look at that, I think about like, the skill for defending yourself or the
mm-hmm.
skill for, like going somewhere else. You could, if you wanted to be somewhere else, you'd be able to pick up and do that. No, easily.
Mm-hmm.
It is when you don't have that ability that you want it so badly to prove that you can. But when it is
Right.
innate and part of you, you're like, I don't have to, I can use that wagon whenever I need to. I'm just going to put it
Right.
away and be here right now.
That's the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing. Being here and acknowledging the fact that the hard work has been done. The
Yeah,
work has
that's
been done. I don't have to run. I don't have to leave. I'm here
mhm.
because I want to be. And it's so scary to be somewhere because you want to be there instead of being there to as a sense of survival. Like to
Right.
thrive versus surviving.
That's right. Yeah. And you got 20 more seconds. We're not done with this. So if you can come back, come on back. We'll just land it.
Okay, I'll come back up. Most
All right,
definitely.
cool. So what it says next is people enjoy their food, take pleasure in being with their families, spend weekends working in their gardens, delight in the doings of the neighborhood. And
Hmm.
we'll bring you right back up and we'll talk about that. Yeah, that's it, right? Like those are the things that matter, right? Food, families, your garden. Like this is something that you're doing with your hands. And then the doings of the neighborhood. What's going on with this person? Oh, what's going on with that person? Like
Yeah.
not in a gossipy way, but like how
Yeah.
can we, like, these people are going to get married, or these people are need help or whatever.
Yeah. Celebrating community. Like actually
Hmm.
celebrating community. I feel like we're coming into a divine feminine shift
Oh yeah.
because patriarchal rule isn't kind enough. It isn't soft enough. But when I think of communal love, I think of women gathering food together and children around learning how to cook.
Hmm.
They're all gathered learning how to cook from grandmoms and great grandmoms and aunts and uncles, and everybody is communal, but it's matriarchal. We gather around the
Hmm.
elder women because they bring compassion that men don't have sometimes, or the
You can
masculine.
say that. You can say that. It's all right. We're talking. We don't want to talk about men and women as much as we
Not
want to
men
talk about yin
specifically.
and yang. Yeah,
Yeah,
we want
like
to talk
that.
about masculine and feminine. What is
That part.
there is structure and there is substance.
Yeah.
Within the masculine energy, we have structure, i.e., a house.
Hmm.
Then we have the feminine, every room in the house, the space in the house.
Yeah.
That's substance.
The
You
energy
can't
of the
use a
house.
house if you can't get in it. Yes, the
Yes.
energy of the house.
You get exactly what I'm talking about. Like it's
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
the masculine energy that has ruled for so long has been without kindness and caring. When I think of femininity, I think of motherly love, not unconditional behavior, but unconditional love.
Right, right, right. And that's a big, like so I look at it in a very specific way of consciousness development. As we've
Hmm.
developed our consciousness, there was, in the beginning of time, we had to deal with safety. That's a very masculine energy, right?
Right.
The masculine energy of just being safe. And then we started dealing with relationship. That is a very feminine energy.
Absolutely.
We dealt with relationship. Then we moved to logic. Logic
Hmm.
is a masculine energy. And so we started to expand on logic. What did we do with relationship? Relationship then became part of religion, then became
Hmm.
part of, being married, and then it became part of land tracts, and then it became part of
Hmm.
businesses. And so relationships then evolved to encompass more of structure, more of the masculine, and now we have taken that structure far enough, and now we're moving into a feminine where what is that, we don't know what it is yet, but it's a spiritual
Hmm.
connection to the whole.
The whole is a collective. Like I call it like honeybees. You know how honeybees vibrate to
Mm-hmm.
communicate.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
communicating at a different level, and it's so fun to see because there's people younger than me because I was talking on wisdom, on the path of wisdom. I've been talking to people, baby boomers. I've been talking to Gen X, and they all talk about how
You ask
millennials.
people their age when they come on.
Oh, they asked me mine, so I asked them
Oh, okay. You're
theirs.
just like, well, if you want to know mine.
Yeah, like I pride myself on the transparency. My
Okay.
transparency has helped a lot of people. Like people like you get on here and tell everybody all your business, and I'm like, absolutely,
Absolutely. It's not my business
absolutely,
because you have access to it anyway. Just because you decide
right.
not to tap in doesn't mean that it's not out there for everybody to see anyway.
I feel like my transparency can actually help people. That's why I'm so transparent. People like I
Hmm.
could never do that, and I'm like, I'm not asking you to, but I
That's right.
will.
That's right. If it inspires you to, good on you. But if
Good
not,
on you. I say take
whatever.
what sticks with you and run with it. But if nothing sticks, you can keep flying.
Yeah.
You can keep flying because every message isn't for everybody.